This is Nightline.
Tonight, Cassie takes the stand. Lurid and explicit testimony about Sean Diddy Combs' so-called freak-offs from star witness Cassie Ventura.
What the jury saw was a person that was broken.
Graphic images from video recording shown to the jury as the rapper's now ex-girlfriend testified Combs forced her to participate against her will.
She described about 10 years of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse.
He denies all charges. What came out in court today about her settlement allegedly cost him millions. Plus, Gene Simmons, one-on-one with the legendary rock star.
Getting up on stage is about as much fun as I can think of having with my pants on.
The KISS co-founder and business mogul pulling back the curtain on his secret to success. And that famous tongue move.
I feel like we need to see the tongue. Oh my gosh.
And Rihanna, as you've never seen her, smurfed up and teasing her first new music in nearly 3 years.
From ABC News headquarters in New York, this is Nightline.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Day 3 of testimony in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Putting the spotlight on the years of physical and sexual abuse the mogul's now ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura says she endured. Combs denying all charges. And just a warning, this story contains accounts, descriptions, and visual content of actual or alleged events that some may find disturbing.
Good morning, day 3 of the trial. Do you have anything to say at all? Anything to say?
Under the pouring rain and stormy skies in New York City.
Good morning.
Day 3 of testimony in the federal sex trafficking and racketeering trial against Sean Diddy Combs got underway this morning.
How are we feeling? Good morning. Anything to say this morning?
Today, the so-called freak-offs and allegations of horrific abuse were front and center.
What we heard from Cassie is a woman that was broken, a woman that's scarred, a woman that's hurt physically, emotionally, psychologically.
In graphic, lurid detail, Combs' former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, testifying what she says happened behind closed doors during those now infamous so-called freak-offs.
So Cassie, when she testified about these freak-offs, she said that it started early in the relationship. She was young, she was naive, and she wanted to satisfy Combs. But she didn't think that this was something that was going to be regular. And it became almost on a weekly basis.
And it got to a point where, as she testified about it, she said, this was my job. This is what I did.
Cassie seated in the witness box once again.
They had to call their star witness out of order because she is 9 months pregnant and she's due June 1st.
She says she participated in hundreds of freak-offs during her 11-year relationship with the music mogul. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all the charges against him. Diddy is, of course, known as a prominent recording artist, going back decades. Hits like I'll Be Missing You.
Give anything to hear half your breath. I know you're still living your life after death.
And was honored by the Recording Academy in 2020 with the Grammy Salute to Industry Icons Award.
And I want to thank everybody here from the bottom of my heart, that really cared about me.
Diddy launched into superstardom after founding Bad Boy Records in 1993 and his own successful clothing line, Sean Jean, in 1998. Sean Combs wasn't just a rapper, wasn't just a business person. He was this bigger-than-life mogul. So what's at stake for him?
Everything is at stake for him. He has been in a federal detention facility in Brooklyn, New York. It's not a nice place, and he has been there since last year. He looks like he has been there since last year. Federal prison is not a nice place to be. He was worth about $750 million when this started. Reportedly, he's now worth less than half of that.
Cassie saying that for the first time publicly on the stand, that Combs settled her 2023 civil lawsuit with her for $20 million. Although he settled without admitting wrongdoing, that suit set the stage for the epic fall from grace for the embattled industry titan. She said that the freak-offs left her emotionally empty, at one point saying she contemplated suicide. I was spinning out and I didn't want to be alive anymore at that point, adding that she tried to walk out the front door into traffic.
What The jury saw was a person that was broken. That is what the jury saw.
At one point, federal prosecutors opted to show the jury a series of 7 pictures they said were taken from video recordings of freak-offs that Cassie said Combs forced her to make.
We saw visceral reactions to these photos of the freak-offs. And part of the strategy here is to give a fuller understanding of these. The depravity, the rooms, the violence, the sex.
Having tried so many of these cases in your career as a federal prosecutor, what's it like for Cassie Ventura, having to sit on stage and bare her soul this way?
The courtroom is very crowded. She is talking about some of the worst things that could ever happen to anyone. She has explained that she is humiliated, that she is ashamed, that she is a recovering addict. And so this is a woman who, regardless of whether or not he is found guilty, this is a very brave woman.
At one point during the timeline of their relationship, Cassie and Combs split up, and she began dating rapper Kid Cudi, but she said ultimately broke things off. Cassie saying there was, quote, too much danger, too much uncertainty of, like, what could happen if we continue to see each other. Cassie later testified that Combs had told her he was going to hurt her and Kid Cudi, and later spoke of arson. Scott's car would be blown up, Cassie said Combs told her. Sean wanted Scott's friends to be there to see the car get blown up in the driveway.
It was her understanding that Sean Combs had something to do with it, that he had the ability to use force enough to blow up someone's car far away from him to send a message. And for the government, that message is to fall in line. And that's why we're talking about it in this case.
Several times, prosecutors directed the line of questioning to instances of alleged violence Cassie says Combs inflicted on her. With tears in her eyes, she described those harrowing moments from the dramatic 2016 video captured by security cameras at a Los Angeles hotel, in which she says she tried to escape a freak-off, with Combs throwing a vase full of flowers at her and pursued her down the hallway in a towel. I just remembered it coming towards me, she said. I didn't get hit. I remembered hitting the wall. He was just yelling at me and threw it at me.
She talked about the actual fear that she felt as Sean Combs came barreling down that hallway, and she stayed there cowered in a corner.
After the incident, Combs texting Cassie, imploring her to call him. Cassie texting back, I have a premiere Monday for the biggest thing I've ever done in my life. I have a black eye and a fat lip. It was time for me to go. You are sick for thinking it's okay to do what you've done. Please stay far away from me. Pointing out photos from a March 2016 movie premiere after party, which allegedly showed bruises on her right leg.
As you sit in court, you see Cassie laser focused on the person who's asking questions. But it's this easy for her to turn and look at Sean Combs. But she never did that during the entirety of the case.
The testimony has been graphic, disturbing. What's been the mood like in the courtroom as the jurors listen to that kind of detail?
I can say that this is probably the most disturbing case I've ever heard. The jurors seem stunned at much of the information.
Combs' attorneys have argued in their opening statement, when it comes to the 11-year relationship between Cassie Ventura and Sean Combs, she was a consenting participant in the freak-offs.
I think what the prosecution must do is explain through expert testimony what a survivor of sex crimes, what that kind of behavior can look like. And it can very much look like consensual behavior. They also need to explain what grooming looks like, how sexual predators can groom and push boundaries until someone feels like what they are doing is normal.
Many people will have the question of, well, he allegedly beat you these many times. Why did you continue staying with him? Cassie testified that the person that controlled her finances, that 10-album deal that she had, who made the determination of whether she releases an album or not, was who? Sean Combs. And that because of that power dynamic, it's hard and very difficult for the person to be able to walk away.
At baseline, when you hear this, there's a heaviness and a sadness that a woman allegedly went through probably some of the most horrific things I've ever heard. And a man who had it all, threw it all away. Even someone without my legal experience is disturbed, troubled, and quite frankly, saddened.
Cassie Ventura is expected to be cross-examined by the defense tomorrow. For much more in this story, watch Impact by Nightline, Diddy on Trial, now streaming on Hulu. When we come back, we switch gears. We're one-on-one with one of the world's biggest rock stars, KISS co-founder Gene Simmons. Why he says being delusional is the secret to his success. That's Gene Simmons, one of rock's earliest influencers, responsible for his KISS bandmates adding dazzling visual pyrotechnics and a whole lot of fun to rock and roll shows. He's also a hugely successful entrepreneur, a family man, and a grateful first-generation American. He sat down with ABC's Rihanna and Allie.
We want to welcome Gene Simmons back to Nightline. We are so happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be anywhere.
Oh, well, well, I'm happy you're in this studio with me right now. Let's talk. You're an icon. You co-founded KISS. You're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Are you going to show me something? Oh, I got $10 from Gene Simmons.
Well, you say a nice thing.
You're still touring.
Yeah.
You're still working.
The Gene Simmons solo thing is just me getting up on stage, just having a lot of fun. We're all social animals. Parties are fun, but if you're the only one at the party, that's pretty sad.
Well, you're a huge part of a lot of people's lives, millions and millions of people's lives.
Well,
you're touring, but when people see you touring now, they see a different side of you. And I want to show a clip so people see.
Oh.
Okay, so you don't have the iconic makeup. Still a good time, though. We see from there. Are you having fun still?
Oh, every day above ground is a good day. And getting up on stage is about as much fun as I can think of having with my pants on.
So
you know what I mean?
Yes, I think we all know what you mean there. When you first came out with the makeup and the theatrics, and I mean, you guys were the first ones to do anything like that. How did you come up with the idea? Where did it all come from?
Were it not for the fact that I met Paul Stanley, my partner, a long time ago, and both Ace and Peter, we couldn't have done this. Completely unqualified, inexperienced, no resume, but had this highfalutin notion of let's put together the band we never saw on stage. What the hell? Who do you think you are? Well, that's precisely the point. You will do great things if you look fate and God and whoever in the face and just go, I'm going to be great. You know, it's the will to achieve, and the rest is just hard work.
Yeah.
Just hard work. Don't be afraid of hard work.
Do you think KISS gets the credit it deserves?
I don't believe that matters, really. I've made, by some standards, a very good living, and I'm so grateful for that. But the only important thing for politicians, the Pope, and God bless the new guy in charge, because he can be helpful, lift the spirits of mankind, womankind, transkind, all kinds, to be nicer to each other. The world needs soothing voices, and leaders are about that. I lost the train of my thought because I told you I love the sound of my own voice.
Well, we love the sound of your voice as well. That's why you've sold millions and millions of records. But
that pales in comparison to our licensing and merchandising. Okay. KISS condoms to KISS caskets. We'll get you coming. We'll get you going. That's another joke.
What about your famous tongue move? Where did that come from?
Look, it's just big and horrific. What can I tell you?
Now I feel like
Pardon me?
We need to see the tongue. Oh my gosh.
I've heard that before.
I'm blushing here.
I'm Gene. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Let's talk about the women in your life. There are two women that you really have credited with your success, with everything in your life, your mom and your wife.
Shannon is everything and anything to me. She's the moral compass of our family. My mother survived Nazi Germany. Our whole family was destroyed by the Nazis. So she taught me the value of you're living in America, the promised land. It really is. I'll tell you a quick story about my mom. My mother decided she wanted to come to America. So we're standing in line at the Israeli American thing where they take people in line. She spoke Hungarian and Hebrew, and he's going, "Can you speak English? Can you speak a little German?" She goes, "Yeah," because my mother, in order to survive the concentration camps, had to learn to speak German. I'm going to get choked up about this because I only learned later in life. And after he said that, he said, "Raise your hand and swear allegiance to..." Raise your hand and swear allegiance to America. And the only time my mother ever saw that was this. And she raised her hand like that, and I saw the horrified look on the American official's hand, and he jumped down from his dais, and he went over, and I bless him for that, and he pulled my mother's arm down, and through her wisdom, I understood how astonishing the greatest country that ever existed on the face of the planet and continues to get better.
You told me off camera that you don't get attached to things, that materialistic things don't really matter to you.
You know, the creature comforts, they're nice, it's fun, but it's like sugar. You go through it really fast.
Let's talk more about your music, because you have been one of the biggest rock stars on the entire planet.
You know, I have a massive ego. My mother instilled in me that notion, which is be delusional about yourself. I think I'm the coolest, and that's the biggest piece of advice I can give to anybody, women especially. Stop caring what your friends think. Just look in the mirror and go, "What's up?"
Will Kiss ever reunite?
The answer is no and yes. We're already deep in creating the next generation of Kiss, Kiss avatars.
You got a lot going on.
There's so much going on. I'm the most blessed person in the world, but with the same work ethic and with the same nonstop delusional, majestic notion of myself, I would be nothing if I lived in another country.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Nightline. And you can catch Gene on tour this summer.
At 75, wise, grateful, and a little fresh. Our thanks to Rihanna. When we come back. It's been 2.5 years since she dropped Lift Me Up, but Rihanna's about to hit the big screen and maybe the charts. Brand new music. And finally tonight, Rihanna's new music is a little bit blue. The superstar is set to drop her first song in nearly 3 years, Friend of Mine. Rihanna sharing the news along with the trailer for Smurfs, in which she stars as Smurfette.
What the Smurf?
The trailer also featuring an animated sequence with the singer's animated character singing and dancing. Smurfs hits theaters this summer. And that's Nightline for this evening. You can watch all of our full episodes on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+. We'll see you right back here same time tomorrow. Thanks for the company, America. Good night.